Okay, hello Infitechers. Got a fun one here. I figured I would start with my first series actually on. Well, let's go with this gas generator because I know everybody's going to want to know what this guy is all about. Okay, so basically, this is a machine that I kind of come up with to build biogas, and it just simply runs on carrots. So carrots go in, biogas comes out. So I'm going to explain how I built this thing, and I'm going to go over that and nothing but that. So you're not going to see 20 minutes of me farting around with something else and then finally explaining the machine. We're going to go right into it. Okay, so the parts for this machine are actually covered in your quest book as part of the Steel Age. So once you get to Stinky and Biomass and all those other ones here, squash plants, multi-purpose canner, etc., you will get to finally get to biogas. You do have to build these industrial upgrades. Now, if you want to ignore the book, you can just go ahead and build this guy straight up. Let's start here. So, fluid solid canning machine. It's going to have three inputs: power, water, and biochaff. Water, just create any kind of tank of your choice. Hook it up to it. For the biochaff, carrots I have found are the best because the macerator here will take carrots and grind them straight into biochaff. Let's say you're a potato guy and you want to use potatoes. Potatoes are going to require you to put them in a compressor, compress them into a plant ball, then put them through the macerator. So that's actually going to add an extra step, an extra machine, extra power, and extra noise unless you stick mufflers on these guys. So the last input is going to be power, and the same thing, you can just basically use a basic gas turbine. The basic gas turbine will easily power everything in this setup, and so it's powering the fluid solid canning machine, the macerator that's grinding everything up for me. I've even thrown a low voltage battery buffer just for charging my low power stuff on because I'm moving to medium voltage over there, so I'm gonna keep a low power guy over here just to throw my stuff in and charge them when you get to these. Before you get to these, it's not as important. Right now, I mean, like I said, it just makes a handy place to put it. And I even have another fluid solid canning machine for my jetpack. This is, of course, optional. Once you get the jetpack, though, you might as well hook it up to the gas line and the same power supply. Like I said, this thing is more than enough to run all of this junk over here. So the once this thing's powered up and has water and biochaff, you will then get biomass. That biomass doesn't need a whole lot of flow rate, so even these wooden pipes are fine. You will need to use something like an Ender IO conduit to pump that stuff out the bottom. That will then flow into these guys here, the fermenters. You want the little orange square pointing away. You want this little square over here, and then you just pump straight into it. It fills up with the stuff, gas gets produced here, and then gets pumped out by these guys here. You set them up so that, and then I just dump them up into some plastic pipe up here. You can use any kind of pipe you like. There will be some sloshing around in these pipes. This setup isn't really big enough to require shutters because the gas will get to where you want it to go within a few seconds, and once it gets in these barrels, it's now trapped in there, and until you dump it out somewhere else for use. And then you can set up little for your main gas line here. You can set up these little what do they call them here? The pumps, and let them suck the gas out. Again, the gas flow isn't considerable in this case, so you can get away with that. These guys here do produce fertilizer. If you have a use for it, hey, then you've got tons and tons of free fertilizer. If you don't have a use for it, which I don't, it's optional to dross this stuff out of here. If it builds up to 64, it just won't generate. It'll continue to generate gas, won't continue to generate fertilizer. So, not a big deal. If you do dross this stuff out, and I do recommend that you do, go put it in your recycler. It'll be turned into scrap, and unless you have some other use for it, which is actually kind of a nice side benefit. There might be a way to automate pulling that stuff out, but it builds up so slowly. If I'm running a load of work on my machines and I'm, bored and need something else to do, I'll just wander over here, dross those out, throw them in the recycler, and, get rid of it that way. The next thing you're going to need is the fluid heat generator. This is you're gonna send the heat thing over. You're gonna connect the heat things up. You know, the heat thing on this side of this one here. Going into this guy here, it's pretty simple. It fills up with gas, and you can see it's using it at a decent clip. And you may wonder, well, you know, these things are burning the gas, and I'm making the gas. Well, you still get a profit. This is running on gas, and so is your basic gas turbine. But you're actually still getting a very decent profit. You can actually see here, it kind of goes up and down as it works. And you'll wonder, why is it constantly going up and down? I might have some other machines operating over there right now that might be draining it at this moment. But there you can see it going back up. See, as the gas sloshes around in here, occasionally it sloshes its way down into here and jumps it back up. But it's steady enough once you get a good supply in there. If you don't go below about 10,000 or so, you're probably going to be all right. So these guys here, you may wonder, why didn't I just connect some of their output back into them to fill them up? I did try that. That does not work. And what will happen is these will become unbalanced. So maybe this one here might be nice and full of gas and keeping its guy constantly producing gas. This one over here, though, will for some reason keep chugging down to nothing. And then this thing here will have sluggish output. Or it'll even stop altogether if no gas from these others makes it back in. It doesn't work that way for some reason. So the output must go up into a line that goes straight into your containers. Let's go underneath, and I'll demonstrate what I've done down here to solve the imbalance problem. It's pretty simple. The gas goes into your container, and then you pump it back out of the container and run it in a straight line into your stuff. And then it balances. Once these, at first, it seems like you're getting, you know, the gas that goes into your containers is instantly going to go into here. But once those guys fill up, then you'll actually start building up a surplus of gas in here. So you do have to let it run for a while when you first set it up. Another interesting thing, first I had one barrel. I decided to add a second when I started getting decent amounts of this stuff going. Because originally I started with just 2 machines, then went to 4, and then went to 8, and that's when I added the second barrel. When I added the second barrel, it was not connected to this barrel here, and what happened is another imbalance situation occurred. This, for some reason, became favored by the system to contain gas. This one did not, and the gas and this line here became starved of gas, and the system broke down. So if you're adding barrels, you can add, you know, barrels all the way out to here as long as you have room. You do need to connect them together at the bottom and have an output. So it's kind of strange, but you know, that is the way it works. So the simple rule is gas goes into your container, the containers dump into this line here, and you have to connect every container that you use together so that you have, you know, so that you don't have problems. So pretty simple stuff. Let me go back up here. Back up top side here, and there's your gas production. Again, this is scalable, so you could, you know, I could build out forever here. There might be a way to build them up and down. I haven't tried doing them vertically. It might be a little challenging. You might have to use a lot of covers to keep pipes separated, but you could probably make better efficient use of space here. But this is working for my thing. It's going to get me into the MV, through the MV age and into the HV age. In which case, the HV age, I'm switching to nitro diesel, which will keep me running until nuclear power, until I get, you know, solid, reliable nuclear power happening. So anyway, a little abuse of the staff there. Anyway, let's see. So that's pretty much it. This thing will stay nice and happy. You throw carrots in here, you're going to get gas out here. And if you hook everything up right, it'll stay nice and balanced. Just, you might have to use a few covers to prevent cross connections with things, and then you'll be in good shape. Using it to run your blast furnace and other, you know, high volume, you know, other machines that tend to eat up a lot of power, that's going to be that's actually does eat the biogas very quickly. The biogas is the lowest yielding type of gas. It's way better than, in my opinion, steam. At least with the lower tier steam generators. But it is, because I mean, it's pretty simple. You throw carrots in, and these carrots last a while. With 8 of these guys going, I only have to load carrots in here every once in a while. And even if the carrots run out, I've got biochaff in here and biochaff in here. So if I forget about this thing for, you know, 5 or 6 hours, only then will it run empty. And then all I got to do is run out, grab carrots every once in a while until I've topped it up to a comfortable amount here. And you can see it just happily chugging away on these guys. So, when you do run, let's say, your blast furnace off of this, if you hook your blast furnace up to a gas generator here, you will see that it will draw quite a bit of your gas down. If you're doing a big run, if you're doing a lot of arc furnace burning and other things over here, or you have a lot of machines running at once, it will start to draw the gas rather quickly. So one cost of this, the cost is fairly cheap as far as materials. You just throw carrots in. But for the other cost is time, which you may have to sit around and wait a little while for your gas supplies to build up, and you might have to do things in short runs. Like, you might have to do your aluminium and, runs of, 8 to 12 or 16 or something like that. And until you get a nice, something really solid like nitro diesel. Eventually you can borrow some of this gas to pump a little bit of oil, turn it to nitro diesel, and get a huge return with that. I'm actually going to build a nitro diesel machine in the future, but for right now, this thing here is a nice little work of art that's going to keep you running. It actually looks pretty cool from either side, especially from this side. You get the big glowing red radiators on this thing that are producing plenty of power for you. It'll keep your machines happy for a good while. Once you reach the HV age, this is really going to not cut it anymore, and then you're going to have to either start using propane. Methane is actually just a little bit better than biogas. It's but it's still not, you can't produce it with this machine, and it's not, frankly, you're better off to make a leap to something like liquid propane and save your methane to chop up into carbon and hydrogen. So anyway, that's the machine here. So hopefully you guys have fun building this, be creative, and have fun. And thank you for watching.